The only player we're missing so far is our dwarf, which is Greybeard, but he said he was out of work and on his way home, so he's driving through a little bit of snow, and then he'll be here, so we'll be good about that. I just wanted to remind a couple of our players. There was one rule I wanted to make a clarification on, and it's the idea of firing into melee. So if you're a ranged fighter, and let's say you're firing at an ogre or a goblin, and one of your buddies is right in front fighting him with his fists or sword or what may it be, if there is a party member in between you and the thing you're shooting at, that's going to give the thing you're shooting at, the creature you have targeted, a quarter cover. So that's going to give them a +2 to their AC. So you still can do it, and there's no possibility of hitting your own player, which is nice in 5th edition. But it is going to give them a slight increase to their AC if you're firing into a melee. It was a rule that I had found in the Player's Handbook and DMG that I had missed, and so I want to make sure we were up to speed on that one. And then our death save. This happened a couple of episodes ago where the death save happens at the beginning of a player's turn. And if they successfully make their death save, say by rolling a 20, or they stabilize, or somebody gives them a potion or a healing point, then that's at the beginning of their turn, and they can jump up and do their entire turn. So I wasn't sure on the clarification of that. We finally found it and tracked it down. And so the death save can happen, and if they roll that 20, they have 1 hit point, they jump up, and they can do their entire turn as if they're ready to go. Think of it as a miracle bestowed upon by the gods as that character jumps up. So just a couple rules, clarifications that I wanted to specify.
Question on the range thing. Does there mention anything about size differences? Like if you're, because in the case of an ogre, right, they could be towering above them, would they still get that 2 AC bonus?
I think it's if they're giant size, I don't believe they get that bonus.
So there has to be 2 size differences then.
2 size. Yeah, I think it has to be fairly big. Just like even if the dwarf is there or the halfling is in front, it's still the quarter cover, even though they're not as tall as a human. So it kind of errs. It kind of averages them out. So I'm just going to play it as if, something very large, then, giant size or bigger. You wouldn't give them cover for that. But
Okay, cool.
I'm thinking ogre would probably count. There's enough person in between you that you might hit somebody. Or that they would be in your way as you're trying to make your shot. I guess would be my... All right, so... okay, I do see him. Other than that, we're about to get going, so you can see us on the map here. We're still at Nightstone. We're actually just a little bit to the north east of Nightstone in the hills. We're still in the Dripping Caves. And what I think we'll do is we're going to go ahead and jump into a flashback first. We like to do these at the beginning of our sessions where one of our players has the ability to earn inspiration for the night, or for whenever they want to use it if they don't have it. And it also gives us a look into the background of some of our characters. So it's one way for you, the viewers, to get to see, a little bit more information about these characters before they join the adventure, but it also gives them an opportunity to earn their inspiration. So I'm going to pass it over to PB, who is playing Ian, our Elven Ranger, and she's going to do what we call them is a flashback or a campfire story, either one that just provides a little information about her character. And then when she's done, we're going to give it over to Greybeard, who's going to do our recap of last week, so you can all get caught up on what happened last week. And then we're jumping back into the caves to see what finally happens. So I'm going to hand it over to PB if you're ready to go.
Yep.
All yours.
So, hopefully I remember all of these. So, this is back when we were still back in Nightstone. We were staying in the temple or whatever. It was after the battle with the orcs. After I got absolutely annihilated with that spear. So, we're in the temple, and everyone's sort of, literally and metaphorically licking their wounds. And, so we're all sitting around doing whatever, and I take off all my armor, and I take off my shirt to see the damage to the shirt, because I did get very much impaled. So I'm looking at the hole in my shirt and seeing if it's something I care to fix, or if that shirt's just ruined forever. And I'm examining this, and I see, I guess, one of the guys, I guess I'll say Greybeard just because it's Greybeard, looking towards me, but not looking at anywhere really inappropriate, but he's looking basically at all the different tattoos that are covering most of my body. So, well, not most of my body, it's not all over the place, but just tattoos all over the front of my body. And so I look up at him, and I try and ignore him, but he's just, is examining these tattoos. And I look up at him again, and I'm really just like with an aggravated look, because he's done this before, where he looks like he wants to ask something, but then he realizes it's me, so he's inclined not to ask me anything. But this time, it's like his curiosity has just reached that pinnacle, and I'm just tired of watching him stare at me whenever I take off my clothing. And I'm like, yes, Dwarf, you have a question. And Greybeard, being Greybeard's like, yeah, I was just looking at your tattoos and wondering what was up with them. And I roll my eyes, and I know I'm not going to get past this, because he's going to continuously ask me this for as long as we're together. So I'm like, all right, I'll give you 2. You get to choose 2 to ask a question of, and that's it, okay? And so, if you direct your view over to the Discord, you will see a very rough sketch of things I drew literally 5 minutes ago, of the different things I have. So, don't count the sword, that one's not actually there. That was a concept. There's, basically, I'll describe it for the viewers out there who don't have these pictures. Basically, it's a sun, and under the sun, there are a couple of black bars, and then writing in a language that I don't think any of you understand, unless any of you know Sylvan. There is a shield with language in Elvish, if you look close enough. Then there is I guess I should tell you where there are. The sun is on my torso. The shield is on one of my sides. On my arm, there is a sort of like a sleeve of the forest. And on my other side, basically, imagine like the California Republic flag. It's that type of bear, and that's on my other side. And then on one of my biceps, a really out of place looking bar. It looks sort of out of place, and it's just literally a long black bar. And it looks like it's unfinished, and you don't know why, because it's so simple, and it's yet so out of place. So, out of those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm giving you the choice of 2 to ask a question of. So, I could pick the 2, or you guys could pick the 2.
Bear.
Yeah, Greybeard's here, so he could pick it. Which 2 do you want to know, Greybeard?
The bear's obvious, though. That's just Armel, right?
Just a fetish tattoo.
That's right.
There's the bear, alright. And you get another choice.
Shield.
Shield? Alright. So, you say bear, and I look down and I roll my eyes, and I'm like, of course he would pick the bear. And so, on top of the bear, there's script on top of it that, unless any of you guys know Celestial, you won't know what it says. I don't know what it says, but it's there. So, I got this. So, in my village, we don't celebrate very much. We don't have a lot of celebrations because that makes a lot of noise and that attracts a lot of things that you don't want to pop up near your village. So we don't celebrate a lot. But once every few years, there is a sort of rip that happens between planes between our village and the Feywilds. And this is the only time we see fit to be able to celebrate, when we are able to be in the Feywild away from our village to make a lot of noise. So it usually happens around the winter solstice. So we go in and we celebrate for weeks. We basically make up all the time to celebrate. And we're there and we drink a lot of Fey wine, which if you've never had Fey wine, it's like the good shit. It's the stuff that will make you forget everything for several days. And so we all get pretty much shit-faced. So me and my brother, we were about, I don't know, like the equivalent of the 20s, your early 20s, in human years. And we're there and we're absolutely shit-faced in the Feywilds. And my brother, being my brother, dares me to get a tattoo of his choice. Like, he gets to choose a tattoo that I have to put on my body. And because he dared me, I couldn't say no. So we go to this Fey creature and ask them if they can tattoo. And the Fey creature, absolutely happy, is like, yes. And so, doesn't even tell me what it is. He just tells me to, like, lay down, and they start tattooing me. And they tattoo a stupid bear on my side. And they write something on top that they absolutely refuse to tell me what it actually says. But it says something that I don't know.
It's like one of those tattoos in Chinese that says something different.
Exactly.
Soup.
Yeah. Exactly.
You said it's in Sylvan?
In Celestial. This one's in Celestial.
Okay. Gotcha.
And so I don't know what it says. And it's a bear, because my stupid brother, like Armel, is a druid. And he's really proud of his fucking bear, that he's able to turn into a bear. It was new at this time. There was a picture of him. He tattooed a picture of him on my body. And it really pisses me off. But it's there. And it's my brother with something in Celestial that I don't understand. And let's see, the shield was the other one, right?
Yeah, but that first part, that's awesome.
And the shield is a little more boring. That one was on purpose. So the shield is not so much... So my purpose, or what I feel my purpose is to be the protector of our village. That is what I've always felt our purpose is, me and my brothers. Since we were born as twins with blue eyes, which for superstitious elves means good fortune. So our good fortune happened on the day we were born, where a bunch of humans came to, a human stumbled upon our village, and we weren't happy about that. We were going to either kill her or send her away. But the day we were born, we opened our eyes and revealed our colors, our eye color, and we were like, yes. Everyone was like, well, this is a good omen. Of course we have to let these druids move in. So by letting these druids come into sort of our space, it amped up our security and less people were dying in our village. So that almost was an omen to me and my brother to be protectors of the village. So we both joined the guard. And this shield represents that. It's sort of like, not really our family crest, but it almost could be. It's a shield, and with a little writing in between, it says our last name, Meliamne, in Elvish. And along the sides are the names of our grandfathers, our father, and our grandmother. So it's just names of our family and our family name on it. So it's one of the like family crest type things that's on there that always reminds me that that I have a purpose in this world. So the least one of the two, but that's what that one means. And there you go. The story
Awesome.
of how, that one time I got drunk, and the one that actually means something.
That is pretty sweet.
That is
Setting
awesome.
the bar high for the flashbacks.
No kidding.
So, all right, you get your inspiration, and you can use that on any of your rolls as per usual. That leads us into Greybeard's recap what I'll do is maybe I'll go ahead and move our players back over to our map while he's reading the recap, so you guys can be sitting in the dripping caves. Imagine as he's reading it, a funeral dirge is playing, and you hear the incessant dripping of water as we listen to Greybeard and our recap.
Funeral dirge.
Oh man, you made me laugh. Okay, give me a sec. Tonight's recap is called Grandpa Snigbat's Birthday Party.
It was my 37th birthday, ancient among our people, and once chief of my tribe. I've been blessed to see my son Hark take the mantle and lead us to victory over the humans of Nightstone. Hark had just went to retrieve a human woman's entrails to frost the maggoty moss cake. When we heard the bats of the main cave screech their intruder's alarm, Pox, my youngest grandson, rushed to the end of the tunnel. Maglabet's fist, he yelped. What is it, bugbears? Carrion crawlers? A dragon? I suggested. No, worse, adventurers, he shrieked with a quiver in his voice. Panic-stricken, the females grabbed their young. I made it to the tunnel mouth just in time to see Nog, the ogre, falling backwards into his mud pit, scorched, pierced with elven arrows, and his skull hacked in two by the wild-eyed dwarf that was now riding his corpse down into the mud. Poor Thog, having just seen her mate savaged by these marauding fiends, rushed to avenge him. Thok, went the arrows of the most dreaded wood elf's bow, and magic flew from the fancy moon-skinned elf's delicate yet delicious-looking fingers. The dwarf seemed to stumble as the moonskin's magic made him grow to ogre size. As if the horrors before me were not nightmares enough, a beautiful direwolf rushed in from behind the adventurers, but instead of ripping their entrails out, it attacked Thog, ripping into her leg. The apocalypse before me continued, and the swirling dark mass of our bats. Out of it stepped the chiseled form of a Drow. His muscles flexed, and that's when I realized he wielded no weapons. He was going to beat us to death with his bare fists. I fled back into the cave to calm the females and young, telling them to be quiet and hide just like we practiced. I could hear the dying bellows of Thog and the thunderous battle cries of the demonic invaders. Surely our warriors will harry them and lead them away from our living den. I could hear their melodious voices scrape across my brain like bees trying to implant honey in my mind. Thankful. Sorry, I gotta scroll down a bit. Thankfully, they turned toward the cave Hark was keeping the human female. Surely Hark's warriors and his vicious pack of rats will shred these interlopers. Quickly now, get ready to flee, I told the females, children, and the elderly of our clan. I would lead them to safety as soon as the chance arose. I could hear the roar of the mystic flames and hear the chittering squeaks of Hark's forces. Maybe they would be victorious. But then the rest of the invaders ran by to reinforce their vile partners in slaughter. I could hear the sound of battle die out. And then after a few moments of silence, I could hear the final defiant battle cry of my brave son, Briark! Let's see. Oh, the cry was cut short, and I knew my son was dead. As tears flowed down the aged cracks of my face, I began to accept that we would all perish by bow, axe, fist, and treacherous, vicious fangs. Shaken from my melancholy by Puck, the youngling said, The fight seems to be over. They were letting the Humies go and searching the other tunnels. This is it, I thought. The end is nigh. I'll leap upon them as they approach and die trying to save my children and grandchildren. Hold
hold on. I gotta scroll down a little more. Sorry, this is long. Let's see. Grandchildren. Then, as if great Jubilex had heard my prayers, it sent one of her denzines, a black pudding, to devour the would-be pillagers. The brutish dwarf foolishly slashed it with his great axe, cutting it into 2 black puddings. Then, when the moonskin elf hit it with his arcane lightning, I nearly cackled out loud, for once again it split, creating 2 more creatures for them to fight. Again and again they split the puddings, each time creating more attackers and splashing themselves with its acidic blood and bile. The hideous adventurers began to waver and fall to the horde that they had created. The smoldering dwarf hefted 2 of his companions and fled from our cave. Only the wretched wood elf knew enough about the puddings to pierce them through with arrows from afar, the remaining oozes sliming their way towards the human cattle of Nightstone. This was our chance at freedom. We fled. I made sure all were away to safety, and I made a quick look back to see the robed moonskin elf succumb to the onslaught of the oozes. I smiled and exited the cave, thanking Jubilex and Maglibet for sparing me. That is when I noticed the dwarf had not fled far, standing just outside the cave with his incapacitated companions lying at his feet. His bloodshot, murderous eyes met mine. He bellowed, spittle flying from his lips and sparkling his beard as he groped at the ground for something. I knew I should run, but as the rock he had thrown approached my face, all I could think, the gods are so cruel. Splat, thud. The end.
Nicely done.
Oh, yes.
Oh, bravo.
It's very good. Although, if that goblin knows the word melancholy, I'd be surprised. But yeah.
He's 37.
It was that or watermelon.
Yeah.
Well
when we
done.
all get rich and famous, we'll buy you a teleprompter, and they'll be able to just scroll that for you, so you don't have to scroll. It'll be awesome.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Awesome job. Well, you can have inspiration for that too, because that was epic.
And for next
that was
week, too.
way better than I would have done. So good.
Thank you.
All right, so let's jump back in. We've waited a week. We're finally here, and it was such a sorrowful ending, and we are back. We have just come out of turn order. The battle has just died down. You did hear the screamings of a guard or somebody being pulled into the tunnels deeper. Children are running and raving up at the north part of the tunnel, and a party member has fallen. And that is where we pick up. We actually still have a couple unconscious at this point, or dead, and we begin our adventures again in the Dripping Cave. So good job, guys. Let's go ahead and jump in. And what is the party going to do?
Did you die, Armel, or are you still alive?
I'm at 1 hit point.
Oh, okay.
Did we end battle?
Battle was done.
It was done.
You see no more creatures to fight at this point.
I run over here towards Jarral and oh god, Ardreth? That's your name, Ardreth. Yes.
Yep.
And I say, we need to get out of this cave now.
And I say, what?
There's something across the crevice that just pulled a guard away. We are in no shape to battle anything else. And I look back at Teagraiel and I say, you get Teagraiel. I'll go move the flock. I'll funnel the flock this way. And I run back.
Yeah, and as you're doing that, and everybody, you can say what you're going to do as that's going. You notice, Ian, that Tegan has now ran to catch up with the children in the last of... At the very end of the tunnel, you've seen almost all of the children have been herded into the back tunnel, and you see some of the older folks and maybe 1 or 2 of the adults at the back, and they're herding them back to the caves, as far as you can tell.
So before you run away, Jarral says, he says, well, perhaps the Perhaps the... What were they? Perhaps the goblin, he knows what is on the other side of the crevice.
What goblin?
A prisoner! What other goblin?
About that.
He turns to look at you.
So, when the combat started, I figured it was best not to leave that thing sitting in our background.
He just stares at you
For
quietly.
fear that if he were to wait, fear if he were to come awake, that we might have an enemy to fight from behind.
He stares at you quietly for a minute, and then says, "Very well. Perhaps this is not a good cave to be in. I don't know if we'll fare any better outside."
I look at Jarral, whose clothes are pretty much all dissolved, and I'm like, "Really? You think this isn't a good cave, Jarral?" And I say, "Secure the outside. Make sure it's safe enough. I'd rather be in the opening of this cave than the inside of this cave."
He raises an eyebrow at the order, but nods at the logistics of it, the logicalness, whatever. And he starts walking back toward Teagraiel.
I run up.
And we see, just to kind of give us an idea, we see the Teagraiel on the ground, clothes having the black pudding acid burn holes all over it, and looks quite worse for the wear, completely pale, eyes still staring at the ceiling, as our party member has fallen. We also have our tired, I assume exhausted dwarf at the bottom, with Armel, who's unconscious, our druid, and Ardreth waiting to see what you guys are going to do during that conversation. Oh, I guess waiting to see, not Ardreth, he was in the conversation, but Greybeard and Armel, what were you doing during that conversation?
I'm at 1 hit point, so I'm not doing much of anything.
Oh, okay, you can move around then.
Yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm sticking right next to the dwarf.
The dwarf takes 3 levels of exhaustion.
A stiff breeze can pretty much put me down at this point.
And I will remind you, it's about 1 a.m. at night. And you see nothing but blackness out to the south of you.
Yeah, I slump down, like, completely exhausted. I don't have my chart up right now, but 3 levels of exhaustion. I think I'm even at half movement.
Okay.
I'm going to sit back to back with you.
Okay. And I'm just using my dark vision, like, I hope nothing comes to fight.
And I'm blind as a bat because my dark vision dropped.
So as I'm walking back to Teagraiel, I would like to examine the ceiling to see if I see anything, any other possible places where...
give me a perception check. Yeah, you do not see any further danger from the ceilings. In fact, you've got a good enough roll that you are sure that black pudding, you can see residue on the ceiling, and you're sure that it came from this cave. I'll ping it on the map.
Oh. All right. Okay.
The bats have died down. Now that there's no more noise, they've gone back down into the hole, and silence is deafening inside this cave. Most of you might even have a little bit of temporary hearing loss from the several thunderous spells that were ignited inside this cave. And now, because it's gone silent, that's even more deafening in your ears, but you hear the incessant drip, drip, drip of the water.
I head through this cave over here, where I saw Jarral come in.
Okay.
To see if it's safe to funnel these guys through. So do I see anything as I go through here?
Yeah, let me give you a little description of that area while you're doing that. So when you come into there, yeah, you see this ankle-deep stream of water that pours in through a narrow tunnel in the west wall. And you can see that it forms a small pool in what seems to be an empty cave. The water has a very metallic smell to it. And in that cave, looks like it appears to continue off to the west.
Okay.
But you're not sure how far it goes. It's only about ankle-high deep water that streams in, but it's definitely a tunnel of some sort.
But nothing dangerous that I can see at the moment.
No, you're not seeing any. Nothing that you recognize as danger or see anything that sets off any type of danger sense for you.
Okay. So I head back up here into the cave with all the people.
Yeah, as you pass by this spot, you notice that this is a big rock that is wedged into what must be an opening to another cave, but other than that you don't see anything else. And then when you come up, you're seeing light from the campfire there that was started by Ardreth before he left, and you see huddled amongst the fire, and in fact all these people have jammed in there. I just have not moved them all in. Just assume all these people are now in this one little cave. Mostly children with maybe a half dozen adults, and we'll say Tegan's in there now too. I won't stuff them all in there, but all of the the townspeople are in here now. Most of them being children, anywhere from the ages of 3 to 14 or 15.
Sorry, say that one again? 13 to 3 to 15?
3 to 15, yep.
3 to 15? I thought you said 13 to 15. I'm like, that's very specific. That's a very specific age group. So I get in here and I say, is everything okay in here? Is everyone safe?
Yeah, Tegan is standing there and talks to you. And so is Daphne, which was the lady in waiting for Lady Valrosa, and she is tending to the children. Some of the adults have come in now. You do see a few adults that are just hugging into the children, and they all look like they are starving, haven't had food in days. They look like they haven't had much water in days. They all have dirty, ripped clothes, and they look pretty worse for the wear. But you're not seeing any outright wounds on them, and you're not seeing any danger in the cave at the moment. And Tegan just gives you that look of, this is the worst experience she's ever been in, and for these kids, they might even be traumatized.
Okay, let me rephrase that question. Are any of you seriously injured to the fact that you cannot walk by yourself, or dead?
I hope you're not expecting answers from the dead people.
yeah. Tegan says she's going to go amongst them and check them, but she did not see any wounds, and they did not have anybody that had any broken legs or anything like that. I mean, some of the kids will have to be carried. They're too young to walk.
Okay.
I mean, if you're going to try to force march them at night through 5 or 6 miles of field.
I ask, was anybody here close to the guard that got yanked across the crevice?
Yeah, one of them walks up and let's see, let me get his name here. Yeah, so a gentleman probably in his mid-50s walks up and he introduced himself. My name is Thelbin, and I saw Jace get pulled across. I didn't see what pulled him because there wasn't any light and we can't see, but for 1 second he was there, and then he was screaming as something grabbed him and pulled him into that tunnel, and I could hear him being dragged down that tunnel. And when he says Jace's name, you see Tegan's eyes light up, and she gets very worried, very agitated.
So he was dragged back.
Yeah, the Thelbin says to you, yeah, I could hear him, kicking and trying to scrabble back and asking for help, but none of us could do anything. The children were screaming. We couldn't even see what was happening or what it was, and none of us could do anything. And he looks kind of crestfallen.
Do me a favor, Lucien, and describe to me the opening to this cave again, like what we walked into.
The main opening?
Yeah, like between the opening of the cave and what we see on this map. Like what's there?
Yeah,
is that just a cave?
It's a giant cavern. The main room is a giant cavern with lots of stalagmites and stalactites hanging from the floor and the ceiling. It has a pool of water up in the northeast part, has several tunnel openings leading to other tunnels. It's all made of rock. There are several shelves that are about 10 feet up of stone, and that's where the goblin guards and archers were. And there was a mud bath area down at the bottom. And then you could see just several openings that go to different areas of the tunnels. But it is a big cavern, probably, I want to say maybe 20 to 30 feet tall ceiling.
So where Greybeard is right now, Greybeard and Armel, they're outside the cave right now.
Yeah, they're pretty much on the outside and can see sky.
Okay.
Maybe within another 5 or 10 feet. I don't think the map goes that much further, but yeah, we're assuming they're just off of that. So it's a big hill, and this is a cave into the side of the hill.
Okay. I'm just thinking where would be the best place to have these people be able to run away.
Oh yeah, okay.
If something else were to attack us.
Yeah, and just your own kind of sense of direction and just remembering what you saw. It was a bigger hill than you had seen from the other hills that were around, and so this little room would only probably equate to maybe a quarter or half of the hill. If you were to go down that northern tunnel, it probably leads to more of being under the hill. There's still quite a bit of under the hill that you would have.
Okay. Sweet. So I just don't want to keep these people so close to the fucking crevice where a big monster thing could eat them. I really want to set up camp down below, but I thought there was more opening in the cave. All
right, so let's while you're thinking about that, rest of the group, she's up there talking to the town refugees. What's going on? You guys just laying around?
I'm gonna search the bodies and everything in the larger cave, so in the area where we're at first.
Okay.
And I'm gonna go over to Teagraiel and try and bandage him up. Kind of give him a couple of pats on the cheek to kind of rouse him.
He's dead.
Yeah, that's when you notice he breathes no more. He has the stare of death in his eyes.
Alright, so Jarral realizes
and Greybeard and them might not know that. They might not have seen him go down.
We didn't.
So Jarral realizes what's happened. He closes his eyes and shakes his head, and then there isn't a lot he can do. He picks him up and carries him and goes he's gonna, I think he's gonna move Teagraiel toward the front of the cave. He's gonna move him to the front of the cave.
Okay. Dragging him, picking him up,
carrying him.
Carrying him. Okay. Yeah, go ahead and you can place yourself where you're gonna go, and then I'll move his icon there. Ardreth, you look around, and the only things you're seeing on the ground are some of the dropped weapons of some of the goblins. So there's a scimitar or so here. The ogres had great clubs, maybe a javelin or two, but you're not seeing anything else of value.
All right. Damn goblins and ogres, no treasure troves. There's a side cavern off to the right over there, isn't there? Up this way?
Yeah.
I'm gonna head in that direction then.
Would I have seen him head in that direction?
Sure.
All right. So as he's kind of going that direction, I'm gonna holler out to be careful of the right cave.
Okay. I'll just go down a little ways and see what I can see. It won't go out too far out of earshot.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so Greybeard, you notice that the dwarf that you have pulled back, Morak, who was introduced to you in last episode, he has also died to his wounds. He was unconscious when you began to pull him, but he did not survive his wounds and has perished next to you also. And then you see Armel there with plenty of wounds. Armel, you can see that Greybeard is severely exhausted at this point, and you see Jarral bring the lifeless body of Teagraiel down.
Nope.
This is all happening while Ian is talking to our Tegan, our guard that's up there, and some of the villagers. And Ardreth's quick search found nothing. And then as you're looking in that room, I'll just give you again, it looks like another tunnel. In the area that you're at, you probably don't see anything else at this point.
I'll walk down towards the kind of where the tunnel branches off into two different directions, just slowly, just trying to see what I can see.
Okay. Just go a few squares and then give me a perception roll. Yeah, go ahead and give me a perception check. All right, yep, you're not really seeing anything. You're hearing the drip of the cave. And that's about all you're picking up at this point.
So I'm going to approach Armel with Teagraiel and just ask if there's anything that he can do for Teagraiel.
I can make a medicine check, but I
can make a casket.
I'm guessing no.
No reincarnation spell yet?
No. So close though.
Yeah.
I say something kind of snarky like, all right, get with the healing. He looks weird, all limp and ragdolly.
All those exposed bones from the acid. Yeah, that's no amount of healing I can put out will help him at this point.
The dwarf goes to rage and there's just not enough left. And he's like, are you saying he's dead?
I look at him and nod solemnly.
And I like shake him. Like, you can't be dead. You're not dead. You were just talking in my head. And then Greybeard like starts to cry, and he just kind of pulls Teagraiel away from both of you, and sits there with him, holding him.
All right. Let us let that sit a moment and swing back up to our cave full of villagers. And Ian, anything further at this point?
I say I need to get you as far away from that monster who took away your friend. I would feel safer if you guys were at the opening of this cave, able to run the moment there was danger inside this cave. So let's migrate down through this tunnel I just came from, and set up shop in the front of the cave. My friends have made sure to secure as much of the cave as possible. Unlike last time, it should be safe now.
Okay.
I'm gonna head back in to look for Ian.
Yeah, and they're looking at you like, well, okay, is there going to be light? Because this is the only spot with light so far.
I roll my eyes, and under my breath I mutter humans. I take out one of my torches and I set it on fire. I hand it to the nearest person to me, and when they take it, I set another one on fire. I hand it to the next person, and I do one more, and I pass it to one other person, and I'm like, there. Now, one of you with the light stay near the back, one in the middle, and the other one come with me. And I'll show you how to get out of these caves.
Okay. Yeah, you're able to lead them through those caves, and I'll just put them down here at the bottom. Where are you going to put all these people? There's a lot of people. Just amongst all these dead bodies?
Well, I'm trying to get them away from the rest of the dead bodies that were inside that room.
Sure, yeah, there's death and destruction everywhere.
Right here. Oh, you can't see that because you can't see that. Right. They can't see that either, god damn it. That area where Greybeard and them are. Sort of that area. This opening place. The least amount of bodies that are around here. So all of this. Does that make sense? Or do I have to learn how to draw?
Nope. I can make that work. Give me a second. So, okay, yeah. So it takes you probably, I don't know, 5 minutes to get them all up and going. They're walking pretty slow. They've got the torches, and you lead them through those tunnels, and they're definitely scared, but they're following your orders at this point. And you make your way down to the front of the cave.
Would we have crossed paths in that corridor?
Sure.
All right. Yeah. So I'll mention to her that Teagraiel is dead. And as I'm going up this tunnel, I'm also looking at the ceiling and the walls.
Paranoid.
All right. Yeah. Go ahead and give me a perception check.
Nice.
Yeah, you're not seeing any. I mean, you're looking for stuff, but you're not really seeing anything further that stands out. How far up do you go? I mean, because you meet them probably in right about this area here is where you. I'll ping it. Is where you pick up this long line of people coming through.
Okay, I just. All right. Okay, so I don't see anything.
Not up to that spot there.
All right.
No, but past that is just like full of bad things.
Oh, you still see a campfire. You see the light of a campfire, and then the bodies of the orcs and the rats and the rest of the destruction in that room.
Okay. Is this the rock that you were talking about earlier?
Yes. Yep. It's a giant rock.
Do I notice anything about that as I'm looking around the walls and the ceiling?
Just a giant rock set in the tunnel of some sort.
Okay. How big is it?
It's the entire size of the tunnel. There's no fit around it at all. You can't see anything past it. It just covers that whole thing.
Okay, so there's no gaps or anything?
No gaps.
Alright.
It's wedged in there. It looks like it's almost exactly the size of that tunnel, and it's definitely been wedged in.
Wedged toward me or toward the other way?
They were trying to keep something in or out, is what he's asking.
You can't tell what they were trying to do. It's pushed inward.
Pushed in from my side.
Right. If you were trying to go in, it's pushed in.
Okay. All right. So Well, we're not going to be able to move that anyway. Alright, so I come up here. Have all the people left this area?
Yep, there's no people in there at this point.
Alright.
Just bodies.
So I'm gonna go into... I don't think I ever saw this thing down here. So I'm gonna examine, just kind of as I'm going through. I've already been through this area before, but I'm just gonna be like checking out the walls and the ceilings again, just to make sure there's nothing else gonna drop down. So I guess we'll go down here and do the same thing.
Okay. In that room, you do see a large hole that goes into the ceiling, and it looks like it goes pretty far up. Can't quite see how far it goes up, but it's a ways.
Is it a tunnel?
Yeah, it's definitely like a straight shaft, straight up.
And I don't see an opening or anything at the top, which is black.
No, it goes far enough that it's past where your vision ends.
Huh. All right. Do I hear anything coming from it? Or can I tell if there's been any activity in this little alcove recently?
No, you're not seeing. I mean, there are footprints that come in and out at times. You can't tell, how often or how long ago. Noises, you're not picking up. The noises you're picking up is the loud dripping of the water is overriding really anything that you might be trying to hear up. Just the noise, the overall ambient noise of the dripping caves is kind of overriding anything that you might be hearing.
Okay. All right. So I'll just continue through here and make my way back down to the southern part. I mean, would I be able to see anything if I went up to the edge of up here?
Yeah, I could give you a little bit more.
Okay.
While you make that big circuit, though, what's our other party members doing at that point? So Ardreth, Armel,
I guess I'll keep
Greybeard.
going down that tunnel a little bit.
Okay.
So I'll advance up to there.
Yeah, you pretty much see another cave room.
Okay.
Pretty giant stalagmite.
Head a tiny bit further into the opening there.
Yep, some more caves.
Damn. All right. Well, I will head back out because this is about as far as I said I'd go without going too far.
Okay.
Okay.
And go ahead.
No, that's all right. Yep, I'll come back out.
I've got 0 healing, but I do have Produce Flame as a cantrip, so I will provide light down at the bottom there and see what I can do to the villagers coming out.
Yeah, it's just a lot of children and just a few adults, half a dozen adults. A couple of them have torches as they're walking by. There is one guard still with them who has, at this point, has picked up a scimitar and has grabbed a short bow, one of the short bows of the goblins. So she has a crappy goblin short bow. And I haven't moved them all down, but they're all right there where you guys are. So I'm just going to say where those 6 icons are. It's just a giant mass of almost 24 humans,
I'll walk
varying
over
ages.
towards where they are and start playing a song of rest on my what's the name of this instrument? My rebec for them. And it does, and I put it inside there. So it's a short rest to grant extra healing to themselves and to allies that can hear them. Regains additional hit points equal to the Song of Rest user's charisma modifier for each surge the character spends at the end of the short rest. So it should be a charisma modifier of 3.
What's a healing surge?
I don't know. That's a little bit vague, isn't it?
Not heard that term before.
And it comes in as a cantrip, so it doesn't look like it costs anything to do, other than time.
Was it
Isn't
Healing
that that
Surge
healing dice?
4th edition?
What's that?
Oh.
I think this is the healing dice. What is it called? Song of Rest?
Yeah, it's Song of Rest. I just put it inside chat.
Let's see what the SRD says. Maybe it's clear.
Is it as an action, a character can use a healing surge to spend up to half his or her hit dice. For each hit die spent in this way, a player rolls a die and adds the character's Constitution modifier.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, if you guys take a short rest is an hour. You're allowed to spend any number of hit dice you choose during that short rest. And this song will give you an extra 1d6 for any of those hit dice you spend.
1d6.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm spending them all.
Do we roll that d6? Or does he?
Either one's fine. Either one of you can. So is that the plan then? The group's going to take a short rest?
It might not hurt since none of us have any spells left for healing, so...
Okay.
Without stopping, hanging on to Teagraiel, Greybeard like kind of shrugs off his pack and dumps some torches out of it, and is like, "You'll need them for the walk back."
Okay. And okay, so everybody's gonna do a short rest down there. Jarral, you see it's just about 20 feet down, and it's anywhere from 8 to 12 feet wide at the opening there.
Okay.
And from what you can tell, is the tunnel travels another 50 to 60 feet, and then you can't quite see, but it goes in a straight line the way the lines on the map show, and it looks like it continues into the mountain.
Okay.
It's straight. It's not going down or up, but it's a straight. Or I guess not a straight. A horizontal tunnel.
Okay. And
It doesn't look too hard to climb down and back up, or even you could make a jump over it. 8 feet wouldn't be too tough.
Okay. And the so I don't see anything in the tunnel.
It appears to be empty at the moment.
Okay. All right. So I will continue back over this way, and I'll pick up Rose. And I guess I see that everybody's kind of gathered over on the west side. So I'll pick up Rose and bring her over to Tegan.
Well, everybody's down at the bottom of the cave. I just left all the icons there.
Oh, all right. All right. So I'll bring Rose down to the group here.
Put pole there, and we can put, these are the dead bodies of the people you found so far. Getting down here so that she's down with you guys. And everybody's taking a rest, so you can roll your hit dice, and you get whatever abilities you get back with short rest. And an hour goes by, and it is now 2 a.m. And let's go ahead and have everybody give me a perception check at the end of that. Is there any other dead bodies? No, I think that's all of them.
Roll a 19.
I'll score.
You at a disadvantage right now, Greybeard?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Good. Just checking.
everything.
We need Ardreth and Jarral. Perception.
Perception?
Oh,
Got it. I didn't hear the perception one.
Yeah, I didn't hear it. Damn.
Yeah, it's a good roll. Okay, the only person that hears is Ian. You think you hear the faint crying out of help and don't leave me. But it's very faint. It's coming from the cave. To the
like
north.
directly north.
So they weren't calling when I was over there?
No, you didn't hear anything.
Man.
Don't leave
Yeah, it's
me.
about an hour goes by, and then it's at right towards the end of the hours when she hears it.
Do I notice her
You
react?
notice kind of Tegan's doing a count of people, and she comes up with. Let me do my count here. There's anywhere from 7 to 8 people missing that she doesn't see, that are not accounted for.
From before?
Just from the people that had left the town and then had been captured, she's not seeing 7 or 8 of them.
Including the dead bodies, I'm assuming?
Yeah, she looked at the dead bodies, so she's counted them.
Including the half-eaten one in the room.
Yes, she counts that one. No, actually, yeah, we'll say it's 6 to 7 then. I think I counted that one on accident.
6 to 7. And not counting Jace. So I'm counting Jace as 1.
Yeah, Jace is 1.
Do I notice if
And then
Ian hears anything? Like, is there a reaction?
No?
Yeah, I don't know if you do or not. That's up to her.
Ian's a professional, man.
Okay.
No. So she's coming up, so that means there's like...
All of you kind of are sitting there and think, I don't know, with your intelligences, you think it would be an extraordinarily bad idea to march a dozen children through the night back to town.
That's what I said last time.
Just in case you were thinking of that. But you can do it.
Right, back into the cave with the monsters, kids.
Give them swords.
Yeah, no.
Nice.
I'd rather stay,
That's gonna build nightmares forever.
Yeah.
I'd rather stay right here.
Oh yeah, you're looking at some of the kids, and some are traumatized. Some have handled it okay. Some have the look of they've seen worse in the last couple of days than what they've just seen. It's been the worst possible days for these people you can imagine.
No, I suggest we just stay right here.
How many hit die can
Until
we use in a short rest?
If you use them all up, if another short rest comes around, you'll have none. But I believe you can use all of your hit dice if you wish.
Yeah.
You won't be able to use any more hit dice, though, until your next long rest to gain those back.
Are you kidding me? At 1?